What's up? Okay, so a couple of takeaways from this weekend's Nashville Fit Forum. I talked to a lot of competitors, a lot of new competitors, a lot of competitors that haven't ever competed, some that are about to compete, some that have competed a couple times, all levels. And here are just a couple takeaways. As a coach, I want to throw out there, and you can do what you want with it. So, number one, you do not need to be eating a lot of protein. A lot of protein does not mean more muscle. So one of the girls was eating, or is eating, 190 grams of protein. That is not necessary. One, your digestion's probably like, what are you doing? Two, if you switched the amount of, if you went 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per body pound, per lean body pound, that would be enough. And then take the rest of those calories and allocate them to carbohydrates. You're going to build more muscle that way than if you have lower carbs with all of that protein. That is not how it works. It's not efficient. So more protein does not mean more muscle mass. Know that. Number two, if you are currently eating less than, I'm going to say 1,800 calories, and you are considering or thinking about, or your coach is thinking about, whoever is thinking about starting a prep, you're not in a place to start a prep. Not metabolically, not hormonally. So don't do that. So 1,800 calories, that would be I'm just throwing that number out there confidently. If you are below that, you need to reverse diet, which does not mean just jump up to 2,000 whatever amount of calories your last maintenance was, or just a random number that you think is higher, and that's not how you do it. You don't have to do it that way, but you definitely are not in a place to cut calories or start to prep 100%. 100% do not do that. Number three, if you have a coach and you do not know the amount of calories and the amount of macros that you are eating every day, you're just rolling off of a meal plan, you are setting yourself up to be failure. You're just setting yourself up for failure. Don't waste the energy applying it to prepping the food and all the things that come along with it without knowing what you're doing. That's silly. So, because then you're just going to need somebody to tell you what to do for the rest of your life, and definitely the rest of your time that you spend here. Learn. So if you don't know what your calories or macros your coach has assigned to you, figure it out. And if they don't want you to figure it out, get a new coach. Let's see. There's a lot of things. Number four, you do not have to do drugs to compete. Don't think that you do. And have the biggest tip that I could tell you as a new competitor, whether you're new or you've competed a couple times or shit, unless you could be a pro, this is still a tip. Have boundaries. Have boundaries of what you're willing to do, and more importantly, what you're willing to not do to get a trophy. Don't do drugs. Like, you don't need to do drugs. You don't need to eat. Like, for me personally, I have a boundary, very clear boundary on what I'm willing to do, and a very clear boundary on what I'm not willing to do to reach my career goals within bikini and within, obviously now, fit model. If it's gonna do anything to my future self, my future body, my future mind, my marriage, obviously my life, it is not a non-negotiable, period. right? So my building seasons are 2 years, if maybe a year and a half, but 2 years is what I've been doing. I compete every other year. Why? So that I can build the rest of my life, my metabolism, my hormones, my marriage, my business, all the things. Because if I try and compete every year, some areas, if not all, are going to suffer, right? So create boundaries, hard boundaries, not just boundaries that you might, somebody can convince you to not keep. Hard boundaries, because this is your health that you're playing with. This is your health that you're paying these coaches to play with. Make sure that decision to who you choose to coach you is a good decision, one, and they don't have now their money now, which is what they're gonna be focused on, their number one goal, right? I have boundaries even within my coaching business, definitely within my coaching business, especially with prep clients. I don't take on a lot of prep clients. If I have like 2 right now, and I don't plan on taking a lot of prep clients, not because I can't, but because the boundaries that I have, that I will hold for the rest of my life as a prep coach, don't align with most girls I want to prep. I'm not gonna take your body to an extreme level to where your future health is compromised. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just not comfortable with that. I want you to have kids later on in life. I want you to have a healthy metabolism, healthy hormones. And here's the thing: that boundary is going to look different for everybody based on where they're metabolically and hormonally at right now, right? And throughout prep. So when I say I'm not willing to risk the health of your future self, that could look different for everybody. So whereas some people, that risk is going to be 1,100 calories. I'm just talking caloric intake right now. And some people, it's going to be like, so for me, who I've been working on my metabolism, my hormones, keeping them number one focuses the last 10 years. An extreme for me is below 1,800. So everybody's going to be different in that. But I'm not willing to, I'm going to do and coach you on what you need to be looking out for, right? So I'm not going to risk the future health of yourself to get you a trophy. I'll give you a trophy. If that's what you want, I'll give you one. I'll put you on a fashion show stage and give you a trophy at the same time. So, I mean, that way you feel the feeling that you want to feel, which is accomplished and proud. So I'm not willing to do that as a coach. Which, again, that's likely not going to align with a lot of girls that want to compete because they're desperate. And that's just the simple fact. I did a whole podcast on the difference between desperate versus discipline, and a lot of girls, and every time I do these events, I'm reminded of how important this topic is and how important it is for me to talk about the difference between being disciplined and being desperate. Being desperate is I'll do anything it takes. No, you won't. No, you won't. Don't be that girl. Be disciplined. Be disciplined enough to take building seasons where you can do it right. Be disciplined enough to do all the daily things, 365 days a year, that keep your priorities in line. So to do that, you got to get your priorities in line, right? So don't be desperate especially for a title, for anything, really. You don't want to be desperate for anything. You don't want to be desperate for a man. You don't want to be desperate for anything, because that will always take you out of alignment with the woman you want to be. That's saying that you know who that woman is, right? So that's all a whole nother video, a whole nother podcast. I do have a woman I want to be worksheet that I send to my clients. It's over in my G4 community, my free community. If you want to go join, that's linked to my bio, to help you visually write down and visually know the woman you want to be, so that all of these other questions can be answered very clear, right? You can't set boundaries until you know the woman you're trying to become, the boundaries that she requires, right? So I love these events. You know, in 2020, when I first started competing, I had no idea where God was going to take me, but I knew wherever it was, I had never been there before, and I knew that all the things that I had overcome and all the things that I had learned and all the in my you know, track and macros journey and my training journey and my life journey, I knew they would all come together to align, and they have. And being able to make this video very confidently about what I know you need to know, what I know I would have wished somebody would have told me, you know, not in my competing journey, because I already knew all these things at the beginning of my competing journey. That's why my journey has been as smooth as it has been. But just years before, you know, I guess not even years before I started in 2013, if I would have known, hey, you need to figure out who you are and who the woman is that you want to become, because that's going to align a lot of things. It's going to make a lot of things a lot simpler in life, not definitely in your career or in your competing journey. So to be able to talk about that, and to the women that I get to talk about it to, I'm honored to do it. I just want everyone, I want you to hear it. Hear what I'm saying, not just listen, right? Not just listen to what I'm saying, hear it and know it, and know that you're no different. Know that your coach is not an exception. It don't matter how good of a coach he is. And I know a lot of coaches, and I know a lot of the ones that the girls told me that they had. And of course, I'm never going to talk about a coach to anybody. I will, if you ask me, I will give you obviously my honest opinion, but it would be nothing different that I would tell them to their face. So just because a coach has all of the athletes, all of the Olympians, does not make him a good coach or her a good coach. So make sure that the only thing that makes a good coach is they align with you and your core values 120%, not 80%, not 50%, 120%, 365 days a year. They align with you. That's it. That's what makes a good coach for you. So hopefully you learned something.